This is a world map, a la Slay the Spire. Our 3 AIs are going to begin their adventure down here when they are created, and then must traverse upwards on this map with 20 different scenarios that they can choose from, until eventually they get to the very end and must fight the shadow versions of themselves and see if they can survive. This is a D&D roguelike campaign. They choose which adventures they go on, and we see if they can actually make it to the end. Okay, so we're gonna have the 3 different characters. With each one of them, I've written out this long explanation of how D&D works. I think it's at a pretty good state, but there's pieces that are, they definitely get confused. Specifically, they keep trying to be the dungeon master. We are now going to create 3 AI characters, okay? These 3 AI characters can be any race, name, personality, spells, whatever. We're going to come up with this. We're going to start them out in the first scenario where they're going to be born into the world, but there's going to be 3 shadow clones. Basically, the exact copy of themselves, but opposite in every way. We're just going to make the opposite personalities. So, what we have to do is, with these characters, create each one of them. What I would like to do in general is, 1, not just about memes. It's not just like, oh, make him Shrek. We need to make 3. Go ahead and vote. Snowman. Okay. Now that we know that it's a snowman, what is the snowman's name? These are great names. Great suggestions. Get your final vote in. Creamy or Puddle is being decided in 3, 2, 1. And by 1 vote, I don't like Creamy. We've got a snowman named Creamy. Group of orphans built you last winter before the orphanage burned down, and you now do good deeds to repay those kids. However, your body also makes the most delicious snow cones ever. Option 1, pyromaniac. 2, cold and distant. 3, terrified of snow without realizing he's made of snow. 4, really hates warm places or weather, makes a big deal out of it, has massive anxiety around it. I definitely want that one, so I'm gonna throw that in. Yeah. Okay, that's a good idea. There's a gun. It shouldn't be a gun. There's a gun in his body. He only realizes it's there when he's melted to down to 1 heart. When he's lost 2 hearts. We'll just say if he does snow cane, it does double damage. I don't want to put it in here because anything I put in here, he's gonna want to do a lot. Spells. Fireball. Snow cane is extremely hard to find. But if you do find it and use it, you will do double damage on your attacks for 2 turns. All right. Okay, we do need to find a token for him. 2-minute tokens. Snowman. Which one is he? There's so many good ones. We should probably have a human or 2. We should probably have some people. Like Bard. Okay, there's dragons, there's humans, there's birds called Aarakocra. Anyway, a lot of options. Fernando? Like Aladdin Flamingo? I kind of love Fernando. The fact that his name is Fernando, like we know his name's gonna, like, we gotta leave him as Fernando, right? All right. You grew up in New Flork? Or Flew York? I'm seeing more Flew Yorks. New Stork City. Okay, New Stork City's pretty good. Flew Stork City. Hates snow and cold weather. Talks lots of smack about everybody. References Vinny a lot. Cousin Vinny a lot. I mean, I think we have that here, right? Okay, cool. I think these are really strong. This is a very funny guy. Quickly, spells attacks. You just call your cousin Vinny on the phone. What race? Looks like a hotly debated between Slug and Otter. What name? Like it's an actual otter. Name her Slug. Noodle's a great name. Noodle's a great name. But in the end, I will end it in 5. 5, I think the other people who voted for these are maybe going to go into Noodle and try to stop it from being named Slug. But unfortunately, Slug wins. Really quick runoff between Slug and Noodle. Go, 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 go. Go. I mean, Slug is also a very funny name. She's a Snorfin. She's a Snorfin whose Snorfinage was recently melted down. Background story. She's a random normal otter. She's the girlfriend of Vinny. She is part of the waterbending tribe and hates fire. And she also, this is the next one, runs a noodle shop. Okay. That is a lot. When you were growing up, your family was attacked by the Fire Nation. And your Snorfinage was burnt to the ground. Therefore, you have a severe fear of fire because it ruined your childhood. Think she can fly. Guys, this party is gonna die so fast. This party is so stupid. Okay. Shrimp smell attack. Oh yeah, rock smash could be good. Hold hands, triple damage. Is that good? Any others that we definitely want? I think this is pretty good because she can just throw a fish. Like, this doesn't really need to be a move. She can just throw a fish if she sees a fish. Can I go to bed, Doug? No, the stream's about to start. Who else do I need? Oh, fuck. I need the shadow clones. How do I make shadow clone versions? I didn't think about this part. Our adventure begins deep in an ancient forest as a wizard with a lot of hair named DougDoug stands in front of 3 cauldrons in his wizard tower. He moves to the first cauldron, and he says, finally, after decades of research, I finally learned the secret to creating adventures. Behold, my first creation, Creamy the Snowman! Creamy, you emerge from the cauldron. Green ooze dripping off of you as you step forward into the world. DougDoug moves over to the next cauldron, and he says, my second creation, Fernando, the anthropomorphic flamingo! Then he moves to the third cauldron and says, last but not least, a really stupid otter named Noodle! Noodle, you step out of a purple cauldron. The 3 of you, a bit dazed and confused, opening your eyes, wondering where you are, and you see this winged, hairy wizard in front of you who starts cackling maniacally in triumph. Before he can react, shadowy figures start rising from the cauldrons. From behind you, Creamy, a shadowy version of yourself emerges from the cauldron, floats up into the air, and then starts streaming towards the front door. Fernando, you see a copy of yourself, a shadowy figure, also fly up towards the door. And Noodle, the otter, your shadow self emerges and starts flying away. DougDoug the wizard looks around confused. What is this? What's going on? And suddenly, he hears a deep, deep voice from up in the sky. The voice says,
oh, DougDoug, you thought that you could create adventures with no consequence. Can you understand this? But this spell that you made has a side effect. This spell creates alternate versions of the adventurers, shadow clones, who now will travel north to the Obsidian Peak. And the secret to creating adventures, DougDoug, is only one may survive, the originals or the shadow clones. If the shadow clones are not defeated by the end of the month, DougDoug, these 3 adventurers will die. Only one group can succeed. And as he finishes talking, this divine voice, you see the shadows move off into the distance. Far, far to the north. Adventures! Creamy! Fernando! Noodle! You must make it to the north, to the Obsidian Peak. It's a long travel. But if you can make it there and kill the shadow clones, then you just might survive this next month. I created you to be the greatest adventurers of all time. And now you have to prove it by defeating the shadowy versions of yourself. So go now. Go north. Begin your adventure. What say you? And as he finishes talking, the group has a moment for discussion.
Did he just say, north? Fernando, Noodle, is it cold up there? I can't be melting away on the journey. And what if someone tries to eat me as a snow cone along the way? This is all so overwhelming.
Oh, Creamy, calm yourself down, will you? Listen, I've been on tougher gigs back in New Stork City. This ain't nothing. We get to Obsidian Peak, whack those shadowy phonies, and Vinny's gonna love the stories we'll bring back.
Oh, so
Besides,
true.
Who would dare mess with us?
Fernando, you're right. We gotta stay cool. But we need to find snow or ice along the way, or I'm toast. Literally, Noodle. Any brilliant otter ideas on how we can make sure I don't melt?
Oh, well, why don't we just fly over the hot parts?
No.
I can totally flay.
That's not a good
It'll
idea.
be like when I got my whiskers done at the Whisker Spa.
This party sucks. They're gonna fucking die. The wizard DougDoug steps up to you and says, "It sounds like you're up for this adventure. To travel north, you're gonna have to follow along the path. Let me show you what lies ahead." And he pulls out a map. On the map, it shows where your current location is, and then the path forks into 3 different directions. DougDoug says, "To the left, there's a known bridge cutting through a jungle. The bridge should still be standing, but as long as you can cross the bridge, it should be easy to move on to the next area. The middle route goes to a tavern. I've heard that the tavern has been dealing with a vampire problem recently, but I'm sure it's cleared up now. And then to the right, another tavern, but apparently the locals around there can get a little bit rowdy. Which direction do you adventurers want to travel?"
All right, team, here's the deal.
Oops.
If we take the bridge, the jungle might keep me cool, but if it's too sunny, I'm in trouble. The taverns might be better for finding ice or snow, but the vampires and rowdy locals, yikes.
Sounds like a scene right out of a crime flick. But you make a point, Creamy. Don't want you turning into a puddle of goo. As for those taverns, rowdy locals, or vampires, sounds like a chance to rough some folks up and prove I'm a tough beak. I'm game for either. What's your choice, Noodle?
Vampires sound like my ex-landlord, all dark and sinister-like. A rowdy tavern could be funnier than a codfish in a clown suit, though. But a cooler jungle might save Creamy from becoming a sad swamp. I vote for the bridge through the jungle. Less chance of becoming an ice lollipop.
Okay, so one vote for the
Alrighty
bridge.
then. Jungle it is. Good call, Noodle.
All right.
Let's cross that bridge and show whatever's out there what New Stork City's finest can do. Just remember, no one messes with Fernando or my pals.
And that ends the first choice. As you approach the bridge through the forest, the 3 of you see that the entrance to the bridge is blocked by 4 merchants. 2 of them stand a little farther forwards, 2 of them stand a little farther back, but all of them have a bit of a scowl on their face. The head merchant steps up to you and says, "Welcome, adventurers. I see you're trying to cross the famous merchant bridge over the raging river. However, us merchants haven't been doing great business recently, and we're going to need a little something from you before we're willing to let you pass." As he says that, he looks behind him, and there's a guy to his right, which really looks pretty angry. Like he looks like he would get physical with you if you tried to stop him. The head merchant turns back to you, and he says, "You see, all we ask is that you purchase one of our extremely rare and valuable items. We haven't been doing a lot of business, so as long as one of the 3 of you is willing to purchase something from us for a fair and reasonable price, of course, we're happy to let you buy. But you're not walking across this bridge up until we feel like we've gotten our value." As he says that, a gust of wind swooshes by in the background, and you see the bridge sort of creaking and swaying. It doesn't look particularly sturdy. After the merchant finishes talking, you have a moment to discuss amongst yourselves.
Whoa, this guy's more stubborn than a rock crab holding a grudge.
What?
So, what are we thinking, team? Do we try and buy something or make a big splash and cause a stir? I've got a few dark jokes up my fur. Could laugh them off the bridge, too.
These chumps think they can boss us around. Not on my watch. We could buy something, sure,
Okay.
but where's the drama in that? How about I try to intimidate these goons, make them see that messing with us is a big mistake? Vinny'd be proud if we handled this like pros.
Vinny would be
no.
right.
Warmth from angry merchants. I'm melting with anxiety. Buying something might keep things cool, but if we do, it better be snow or ice. Fernando, your tough beak might scare them off. But let's not forget the bridge might not hold. If things get heated, what if I set something on fire to distract them and we slip by?
He's already talking about setting something on fire. All right. After discussing this as a team, The merchant steps forward again and says, well, what'll it be? Will you purchase something? I have the following incredible items. Chat, I need items. Snow cane. Okay. He steps forward, opens a satchel, and pulls out a bag of pure Colombian snow cane. He says, this is the good stuff, and it will cost you only 100 coins. Next, we have this. This tube of icy hot, very great for colds and sores, only 35 gold pieces. And lastly, this magical lava lamp, which I am not willing to sell for gold, but could hand to you if you offer me something precious of value in return. What say you? Any catch your interest? And as he finishes saying this, you see the bridge creak from another gust of wind behind him. Actually, I'll just start asking them what they want to do. I don't know at what point do I just like tell them. You know what? We'll set Creamy.
All right, here to goes nothing. I step forward and create a small snowball in my hand, ready to intimidate.
Ooh,
Listen
okay.
up, merchants. We'll
Okay.
take that pure Colombian snow cane and you'll drop your prices, or else we'll cool you down permanently. We don't want any trouble, but my buddy Fernando here ain't got patience for folks who stand in our way.
Oh, shit. Okay. Fernando, do you do anything while Creamy is saying this? So right now he's like a little further back.
Yeah, I step up with a menacing smirk and crack my wings, making a loud snapping sound. I glare at the head merchant and say, you heard the snowman. Drop the price or you'll be feeling chillier than a pigeon's bath in winter. Got it? And don't make me call my cousin Vinny.
He might call his cousin Vinny. All right, team, the two of you step up and attempt to intimidate the first merchant, Franklin. I'm going to roll a die. Because both of you were in sync, it's going to be a little bit easier to pull this off. If you roll a 14 or above, he will be intimidated. Let's see what happens. And the die is a 16. As you walk forward, Franklin stumbles back. He doesn't look nearly as confident as he was before. He says, look, we didn't think you would sort of respond like this. Most people who walk across this bridge are pushovers. Look, we don't need to get violent here. How about you just trade me 10 gold pieces for this snow cane, and then you can be on your way. As he finishes speaking, you remember that you currently have no gold on you.
Oh, frosting flakes, we've got no gold. Fernando, Noodle, any bright ideas? Maybe I'd sacrifice my carrot nose for the snow cane. It'd be worth it to stay frosty, but I'll miss my orange charm.
Let me handle this. I got street smarts. How about I offer him a nice story about our escapades to sweeten the deal? It's got the drama, the action. Might be worth more than gold to these suckers. What do you say, Franklin? A tale worth its weight in snow cane?
Okay. Franklin, the top merchant, looks at you and he says, a story. That could be worth something. As we travel through taverns, stories can actually elicit us a little bit of gold, but my buddy, Bobbert here, and he looks back at the intimidating man standing behind him. My buddy Bobbert here, he knows a thing or two about good stories. He's been around the block, if you will. Your story has to impress him. If he's impressed by it, then sure, we'll accept it as payment. And Barbert sort of looks up and down and grunts at you and says, although you can barely understand him. He doesn't seem to speak any English. Fernando, you are up. What do you choose to do?
All right, Bobbert, get ready for a story that'll knock your socks off. So there I was, back in New Stork City, right? Cousin Vinny gave me a job, burned down the local snorphanage. Yeah, you heard right. I pulled it off. Flames everywhere. Never seen snow melt so fast. As I'm hightailing it out of there, guess what I see? A snowman running away. Yeah, Creamy over here, zooming away.
Oh, he knows it was
Fast
Creamy?
forward, we team up and take down a gang of rogue icicles terrorizing New Stork City. It was epic. Ice shards flying, snow everywhere. And in the end, Vinny gives me the nod of approval. You ever seen a flamingo partner with a snowman taking down an icy gang? Now that's a story to remember.
So he knows? Bobbert looks at you with a bit of a grunt. The fact that you apparently burnt down a snorfinage that your own friend was in is pretty metal. And so he looks to be a little more impressed than he might not have otherwise. If you roll a 12 or above, Bobbert will be impressed. And you roll a 14. Bobbert steps forward, extends a hand and says, good story. And the merchants step to the side and allow you to pass. What do you do?
Phew, that was chillier than expected. Thanks, Fernando, for the cool save. Let's move across this bridge before it decides to give way. Remember, we need to find snow or ice soon. I can feel myself dripping already.
Franklin turns and yells at you and he says, wait, careful! This bridge has felt incredibly rickety. That's why we're standing over here on this side. You should be awfully careful as you cross it. It could snap at any moment.
Don't sweat it, Franklin. We've faced tougher situations. I'll lead the way, but let's take it slow and steady, team. Watch your step. If this bridge decides to play rough, we'll make sure to handle it New Stork City style. Let's go!
Okay, Fernando, as you start crossing the bridge, it creaks under your weight. There is a 1 in 4 chance that it might snap underneath you. Let's roll the die. 5 or above and you make it safely across. 5. You barely avoid the creaking planks below you and make it safely to the other side.
Here goes nothing. I'll try to flay right across, just like back in the Whisker Spa. Watch out, Fernando, I'm coming through. And Creamy, get ready to roll once I make it.
Noodle steps forward and jumps up into the air, preparing to fly over the bridge. However, she promptly smacks down into the ground because of gravity, and it turns out she can't fly because she's an otter. If you roll an 8 or above, the planks do not break. Okay. You rolled a 15, so you slam down onto the planks, you feel them creak and groan, but they don't snap underneath your weight, and you stand back up. On a 20, she should fly. On a 20, she can fly, but she is an otter.
Noodle, you almost turned into river soup. All right, it's my turn. I'll waddle lightly, stepping on the boards Fernando picked.
Ooh.
But I need you two to cheer me on. Keep me cool, folks. I can't afford to melt now.
That's smart. Because you were choosing to walk on the same planks that Fernando did, they're slightly less likely to break. 4 and above, and you make it safely across. An 8. You do manage to make it across the bridge. Noodle, you are now the only one midway through the bridge. What do you choose to do?
Phew, I guess otter wings are a no-go. All right, time to scamper across like a proper otter. Fernando, Creamy, keep an eye out. I'll sprint low and quick. Here I come, like a fish escaping a net.
All right, we roll the die. 5 or above, and you make it. Unfortunately, Noodle, as you run across, the biggest plank snaps underneath your feet, and you start to fall off. Only a single finger catches the edge of the bridge, but you're only going to be holding on to this for a few more seconds. Creamy and Fernando, you are across the bridge. You are not immediately there. Do you do anything to help?
Noodle, hold on tight. Fernando, quick, we gotta save her. I'll form a snowball and throw it to distract them. And you grab her.
Distract
I can't
who?
let anyone fall on my watch.
Creamy, where are you throwing the snowball? What exactly are you doing? Could you describe it to me again?
Throwing the snowball towards the edge near Noodle, hoping it'll create a thud and give her something to grab onto.
What?
Or at least distract her while Fernando rushes in for a solid spot where she can get a better grip and stop falling.
Nice move, Creamy. I'm rushing in, wings outstretched. I'll grab Noodle by the scruff and yank her back up. Hang tight. Noodle, it's rescue time.
Fernando starts rushing in. Creamy builds up a snowball and then throws it near Noodle to help her out, I guess. Meanwhile, Fernando starts rushing across the bridge. But again, the bridge could break underneath him, and because he's rushing, there's an even higher chance of it breaking underneath him. You now have to roll a 10 or above to make it safely over to Noodle and grab her. A 9. As you rush forward, Fernando, one of the planks cracks under your feet, and you too fall through the gap with just the end of your feathers holding you on. Noodle, you are now up. You have to, just by the grip of your fingers, stay onto this bridge. I'm going to roll a die to see if you can hold onto the grip for another turn. Or do you want to do anything else?
Oh, Otter Whiskers, this is bad. Gotta think quick. Grab that snowball and use it to wedge myself up. And Fernando, don't let go, buddy. We're not falling today, not while Vinny's waiting on our hero stories.
Okay, Vinny reference. Okay, you try to pull yourself up using the snowball handhold that Creamy threw at you for some reason. I will give it a very, very, very slight improvement to your roll. If you roll a 17 or above, you manage to pull yourself up. Otherwise, your grip will slip. Oh. Unfortunately, Noodle, it's a 15. Your grip, despite the snow that Creamy threw at you, is actually slipperier because that's what snow would do. Your grip loosens, and then you fall. Slowly, smaller and smaller, shrinking towards the sea, and you land with a loud crash into the river below. Fernando, you are holding on by a feather to the bridge. You just watch Noodle drop below you. What do you do?
With all my strength, I try to pull myself up by gripping the edge of the bridge with my wings and scramble back onto solid ground. Creamy, get ready. We're diving after Noodle next.
15 or above. Okay, rolling a 15 or above will allow you to pull yourself back up. You roll a 15. Fernando, you manage to pull yourself back up by the wing, but you can see over the edge of the bridge, Noodle has crashed into the river below, and she looks injured. You can't tell how injured yet.
Creamy, we gotta act fast.
Oh, oops,
I'm back on the bridge, just barely.
I had Fernando
You
talk.
think you can create a snow ramp or something to slide down safely? We can't leave Noodle down there alone. Let's save our furry friend pronto.
I'll make a snow ramp with what I've got left to slide down safely.
What?
Keep an eye out, Fernando. We'll rescue her together.
What is that?
Noodle, hold on. We're coming.
What? What does that mean? All right. Creamy, you begin using the bottom of your snowman body to actually slide down this cliff face and manage to swoosh all the way down to the base of the river, 200 feet below. You lose a lot of your body parts in the process of it, knocking your health from 3 down to just 2.
You're a snowy hero. I'm gonna hustle down your makeshift ramp and get to Noodle. Brace yourself. I'm sliding in. Here I come, buddy. Hold tight.
Okay. All right, Fernando runs up to the top of the bridge, uses the snow slide to get down to the base of the river. You are now both near Noodle, and you can see her sort of floating down the river unconscious by the bank. But she's still like 20 feet out into the river. How do you choose to try to help her? Creamy, you're up first.
I'll use what's left of my snowy body to form a rope and throw it out to Noodle. I'll take the hit to help her. Fernando, grab the other end and we'll pull our friend to safety together. Hang on, Noodle, just a bit longer.
That doesn't make sense. All right, Creamy. You pull out even more of your body, knocking your health even lower to just 1 heart. You form a rope, and you throw it out at Noodle, who is floating unconsciously down the river. An 8 or above will grab her. You roll a 19. You throw out this frozen part of yourself, wrap it around Noodle, and slowly pull her back to shore.
Creamy, you absolute legend. I grab the other end of the snowy rope and start pulling with all my might. Noodle, you're coming back to us. No way we're losing you. Let's get her safe and sound, then find you some frost before you melt away.
That was a close one. Felt like I was in an otter-apocalypse. Thanks for saving my fur, you two. Creamy, you're looking a bit smaller. Let's get you some snow ASAP. And Fernando, I might need a feathery hug to get my strength back up.
They're so upbeat and positive. Creamy, as the three of you walk back up the banks of this river and up the cliff and make it to the top of the bridge before everything went south, you notice that because of the smaller size of your body, it turns out there was a gun frozen inside of your body that you only now noticed because so much of your body has been melted away as part of your strange snow things. Thank you, Captain Southbird, for the 10 gifted subs.
Holy moly, Creamy. You had a gun frozen in you this whole time? That's some gritty new stork luck right there. Keep it safe. Might come in handy with those shadow clones. And Noodle, consider yourself hugged, feathery and all.
Oh, they hug.
Whoa!
Okay, they get in for a nice
Where
hug.
did this come from? A gun might get us out of some hot situations for sure. Let's keep going and find some snow. It's my lifeline.
The three of you cross the bridge and start moving up the forest path together, seeking out the next adventure. As you check the map that the wizard DougDoug gave you, you realize that ahead of you are two different paths that you can take. A famous museum full of ancient artifacts. The other path goes to a well-known pond, a lake that people seem to use and love for fishing. Which path do you choose to take?
A museum with ancient artifacts sounds like a place for some great stories and maybe some valuable loot.
The map doesn't
But
reflect...
that pond might have the ice and cool water we need to keep Creamy from melting. I'm torn, but let's see what treasures or ice we can fish out at the pond first. Plus, a bit of rest by the water could do us all some good.
The pond sounds perfect. I need that ice to stop dripping away. Let's head there first and make sure I'm solid before we explore the museum.
Alrighty, with a big burst of excitement, the team advances forwards towards the Golden Fish Lake. As the three of you enter this lake, an old man runs up to you, and he says, I'm Old Tom. You have to help me out. You see, I've been fishing in these parts for generations. There's a lot of good fish out there and some evil creatures. You got to be careful. But I've always dreamed of catching the golden fish. And as he says that, he quivers with excitement. They say the golden fish will bestow upon the catcher an incredible treasure. I've never experienced it for myself, and I've always wanted to. A lot of fish out in these parts. You got to be careful. Some dangerous creatures, too. But if you three can catch the golden fish for me, I promise you can have the treasure inside of it. The problem is I have no idea how to catch it. No matter what kind of lure I use, no matter what kind of tricks, the golden fish never seems to be caught upon my rod. However, to the north of me lives a young fisherman named Young Tim. Tim is different from the fisherman I've grown up with. He seems to, maybe by his body and physiology, have some special way of communicating with the fish. I'm not sure what it is about him that gives him an advantage, but he's been able to catch the golden fish a few times now. He has some sort of secret technique. Maybe you could talk to him, but I don't think he'll give it to you easily. As he finishes speaking, the party has a moment to discuss.
Old Tom, you're in luck. We thrive on challenges. Catching this golden fish might just be the thing to uplift our spirits and cool down Creamy. I say we pay a visit to this young Tim and figure out his secret. Creamy Noodle, you in? We might need to use some smooth talk or a little new stork persuasion to get him to spill the beans. And if he won't spill the secret, we'll just have to use our combo of wit, charm, and a little intimidation. Let's get to young Tim and bring back that fish. Vinny's gonna love hearing about our big catch.
Creamy, what do you do as you approach the walrus man named Young Tim?
Hey there, young Tim. We hear you're the best when it comes to catching the golden fish. Old Tom's been dreaming of it for ages, and we'd love your help. Got any tips or secret techniques? We'll make it worth your while.
Yeah, Tim. We'll even do a fishy dance if that'll help. Got any utterly amazing secrets that could help us snag that golden fish? Promise we won't fish around too much. Just point us in the right direction.
Tim, buddy, here's the deal. You help us out, and we'll owe you big time. Maybe we can even bring some fishy treasures your way. Vinny would be mighty impressed if we catch this fish with your technique. So, what do you say, pal? Help us out.
Why the hell would I share my fishing technique with you? This is how I make a living on these parts. Fishing's been in my family for generations. I'm a fucking walrus. And with that, he strolls down the dock, throws out a fishing rod, and ignores you.
Oh, so that's how it is, huh? All right, Tim, let's see if you can ignore this. I step up beside him, puffing out my chest and using my intimidation skill.
Okay.
Listen here, Tim. We're not just any random adventurers. We got the grit, reputation, and a whole lot of feathers. You give us that technique, or things might get more uncomfortable than a walrus out of water.
Young Tim looks back at you and he says, I'm literally a walrus, and I'm literally out of water. And if I let you intimidate me, then who knows what old Tom might do to me. He's been after my secret for a generation. You can't have it. And he ignores you and looks back at the water.
Tim's tough as walrus tusks. Maybe we can offer him a deal. How about a trade? Tim, how about this? We bring you something valuable or do you a favor in return for your fishing secret. We're resourceful critters. Name your price and we'll deliver.
Tim looks back at you and he says, that guy, old Tom, I don't like him and I don't trust him. If you can take him out of the picture once and for all, then I'll tell you the secret. But I can't be having my secret leak to old Tom and have him start taking the golden fish from me. If you promise me that old Tom won't be fishing in these waters again anymore, if you know what I mean, then we have a deal.
Whoa, Tim wants Tom out of the picture. That's darker than the bottom of the sea. Fernando, Creamy, what do we do? I'm not great with, ottomanation. Maybe we can find another way to keep Tom away without, making a splash.
That's not the
Yikes! Tim's asking for a frosty end for Tom. I'm not made for that kind of heat. Maybe we can find a way to convince Tom to leave peacefully, or trick him into thinking these waters are cursed. We've got to find a cooler solution than violence, team.
Why are they so not
I'm with
violent?
you, Creamy. Let's play this smart. Tim, how about this? We'll convince Tom to pack up and move out of here for good. No need for bloodshed. We'll figure out a way to make him think there's nothing left for him in these waters. Deal?
Tim looks at you and he says, if you convince Tom to leave forever, then yes, we have a deal.
Oh boy, Tom. Tim's a tough nut to crack. But maybe you'd consider moving on. These waters might not have much left for you, but there's plenty of other lakes out there. How about we help you relocate to a more fruitful fishing spot?
Fruitful fishing spot, he screams back at you. My family's been here for generations. We need to get young Tim out of here so I can have the lake to myself. Maybe you could, get rid of him for good. If his cabin were to, say, disappear, he might go for other waters. He's had the golden fish long enough.
All right, Tom, I hear ya. Maybe we can make Tim's cabin disappear without any drama. How about this? We set up a little act, scare Tim enough to hightail it out of here, claiming the place is cursed or something. Just leave the subtlety to us. Trust me, with my street smarts, we'll handle this smoothly.
Why? Wait, what? Why would... So they're gonna go perform... Okay.
Yeah, Tom, we can spook him good. Imagine Tim discovering his cabin covered in eerie messages and strange signs that scream, cursed! We'll make sure he thinks twice before staying here.
Okay.
What do you think about that plan, Noodle?
Ooh, a spooky otter mission. I'm in. We can totally make Tim believe the place is haunted or cursed. Maybe sprinkle some dark jokes around his cabin for extra chills. Let's make it so eerie he'll never want to fish here again.
Okay. Yeah, ChatGPT is too nice. I have an idea for how to make them not as nice. Like, he's supposed to be a criminal. And she's not making any dark jokes. All right. The three of you move back up to young Tim's cabin. And on the way there, you do notice 3 red barrels with what might be gunpowder inside of them resting next to Tim's cabin. You move upward towards his cabin, and you see Tim out on the dock fishing. What do you choose to do?
Huh. Those barrels give me an idea.
Is the idea
Creamy,
what...
you thinking what I'm thinking?
Is it
We could use this gunpowder for an explosive scare without harming Tim. Tim hears a blast, sees eerie messages, and thinks the lake's cursed. We got our spooky scene. Noodle, you handle the spooky signs. Creamy, help me move these barrels. Let's give Tim a reason to skip town.
Okay.
I'll help Fernando move the barrels and set up the dramatic explosion. We gotta make this convincing.
Okay. Fernando, what specifically do you do? You and Creamy move over to the explosive barrels.
All right, Creamy, let's position these barrels close to the cabin for maximum effect. We'll set them up in a way that'll make a big, harmless bang. Then I'll use the gun to set them off from a safe distance.
What?
We've got to make this look real spooky. So once the barrels are in place, get ready for a dramatic explosion.
All right, you guys move the explosive barrels around the cabin and then move away to a safe distance. Tim, who is currently out fishing, has not noticed you yet. You are now standing 15 feet away from the cabin, which has spooky words written on it and 3 barrels full of gunpowder lying against the side of the cabin. What do you choose to do now? Do they just blow up the house? Because I don't think they realize what they're doing.
Creamy, Noodle, get behind me. All right, here we go. Pulling out the gun. Aiming carefully.
Okay.
I shoot at the barrels to set off a big scare. This lake's gonna seem more haunted than a ghost town after this. Tim's gonna be out of here in no time.
Okay, very cool, very spooky. Fucking okay. I'm gonna change their AIs after this, but we'll let this scene play out. As long as you roll a 4 or above, you hit the barrels. And the shot connects. Right when you hit the explosive barrels, you hear a gigantic boom! And the entire house erupts in a gigantic explosion of flame. The wooden house immediately blazes and spreads quickly. As soon the entire thing is burning to the ground. A few seconds later, you hear from across the dock, "Jesus Christ, what happened to my home?" And young Tim starts sprinting towards you. What do you do now? What did they think was going to happen?
Oh, shellfish, we made a real mess. Tim is going to be boiling mad. Let's pretend to be spooked too. Run around like we're cursed and yell stuff like, "The lake is haunted." Maybe Tim will buy it.
Oh, frosty fates, this got out of hand. Tim's coming our way. We gotta act fast. Fernando, Noodle, let's scatter and yell about the curse. The spookier, the better. The spirits of the lake have spoken.
Yeah, let's go full otter panic mode. Tim, it's the spirits. They're angry. Run before they get us too. We're out of here.
You heard him, Tim. We barely escaped the spirit's wrath ourselves. The lake is cursed. You gotta get out. We're scattered as scared critters. Make it believable, folks.
Young Tim runs up to you. He says, "What happened to my home?" And he looks at the gun that you're currently holding, Fernando. He says, "Wait a minute. You didn't do anything with those gunpowder barrels that were near my home, did you?"
Tim, listen, it's not what it looks like. The spirits of the lake, they possessed me. The gunpowder was just a tool for their wrath. You gotta believe us. The lake is cursed. For your safety, you better leave now.
Why would... I can't...
Yeah, Tim, we were just trying to talk to the fish, and then boom, the spirits got all fiery. It's haunted, man. Trust us, get out while you still can.
Okay, we're gonna do a deception check. We're gonna do a test to see if you can convince Tim. Unfortunately, he can see, looking at the giant fireball of his cabin, the explosive barrels went off, and clearly noticed the gun that you were holding. It's going to take a 15 or above in order to convince Tim that the lake is actually haunted. Old Tim looks at you, and then he frowns, and he says, "I don't think this lake is cursed at all. I think that old Tom put you up to this." And he starts running south towards Tom's cabin, wielding a harpoon in one hand, with murderous intent in his eyes. Fernando, you are up. What do you do?
Oh boy, this just cranked up to 11. Creamy Noodle, we gotta stop him before he reaches Tom. I'll sprint after Tim and try to tackle him. We can't let this turn into a bloodbath.
Why don't they...
We need him to chill out, not skewer someone. Vinny's code, no unnecessary hits. Remember, let's move.
They're way too pacifist. We'll fix that, don't worry. Fernando runs after young Tim and attempts to tackle him. 14 or above, and you successfully tackle the large walrus. Unfortunately, you don't roll high enough. You lunge forward, but Tim keeps moving past you. Noodle, what do you do?
Oh, Whiskers, this is bad. I'll run after Tim and try to wrap myself around his legs. Can't let him get to Tom with that harpoon. Hold on tight, Otter style. You're not skewering anyone, Tim.
You run forward and attempt to tackle young Tim. 15 or above, and you get it. All right, you roll a 15 and manage to grapple onto young Tim's legs and slam the two of you to the ground. You did this very close to old Tom, who runs forward and starts shouting gleefully, "Aha! Not the big man at the lake anymore, young Tim! Now that these three burned your house to the fucking ground!" Creamy, what do you do?
Oh, snowballs! This is heating up too much. Old Tom, calm down. We didn't mean to cause all this. Can we talk this out? Tim, we just wanted the fishing secret for a better cause. We're not here to ruin lives. Let's chill and sort this out.
As much as you say that, old Tom steps forward, and he pulls a knife out of his pocket. He holds it up to young Tim's throat, who is being held on the ground by Noodle, and says, "Young Tim, tell me the secret to catching the golden fish. How do you do it?" Young Tim shouts out, "I'll never tell you. I'd rather die." Is there anything you try to do to stop this situation or change it?
Hold up, Tom. Put that knife away. There's got to be a better way than slicing throats. Think about the long game. We catch that fish together and share the loot. We already burned his cabin. Let's not make things worse.
You attempt to persuade and intimidate old Tom out of making the stab. 15 or above, and you convince him. 16. Old Tom, with his knife an inch from young Tim's throat, pauses and falters, which gives Creamy a chance to step in the middle and push him away. Old Tom looks at Tim and says, "I'll let you leave the lake peacefully, but tell me the secret to catching the golden fish." Young Tim looks at him and he says, "Fine, if I'm leaving anyway. I just threw gunpowder barrels into the water and then blew them up. And then sometimes the golden fish would come up for it was pretty straightforward and obvious, old Tom. Why do you think there were explosions all the time in the lake? And now I have nothing because these idiots blew up all my barrels." And he looks back sadly at the cabin. Young Tim, upset, walks away to stand near the wreckage of his cabin. Old Tom, though, says, "Of course, explosive barrels. I think I've still got one lying around." Runs over to his cabin, rummages around, and then you see him emerge holding a large explosive barrel. As he steps out with it, he says, "Quick, team, help me catch the golden fish. Let's bring this to the dock and hurl it out together." And he carries the explosive barrel out to the edge of the dock. What do you choose to do? Fernando, you're up.
All right, Tom, let's make this happen. I help him carry the barrel to the dock, keeping a careful eye on how we handle it. Creamy Noodle, join us. Let's fish this in true team style. I'll aim and light the fuse when we're ready.
I'm right behind you, Fernando. Careful with that barrel. Let's not have another explosive mishap. Noodle, get ready to dive in case we need to grab the treasure quick. Together, we've got this. Let's catch that golden fish.
The three of you help old Tom carry the explosive barrel to the end of the dock. Then he turns to you and says, "You know, we didn't ask him what we do with it. What should we do? How do we actually use this thing?"
Well, if explosions bring the golden fish up, maybe we just toss the barrel in and light it up. The boom should do the trick. Let's roll it into the water and then Fernando can shoot it again. Get ready, everyone. This fish is about to meet its match.
I light the match and toss it at the barrel with a maniacal grin as the flames take hold.
You throw the match, it connects, and then boom! A gigantic explosion of fire appears where the barrel was. And as it slowly fades away, you see a number of fish dead, floating to the surface, including, as long as this is a 6 or above, 19, including the body of a golden fish. The golden fish! My treasure! Finally! And jumps into the lake and starts swimming towards the golden fish. Creamy, what do?
I charge into the lake, using my snowy body as a float to get closer. This golden fish might be a sacred treasure we could sacrifice for the snow fans and Santa Claus. Worth every melting second.
Tom, you better not double-cross us. I leap into the lake, flapping my
Wait,
wings
what?
and diving
Fernando goes
straight
into?
for the golden fish. Creamy, I'll grab it and toss it to you. Let's get this shiny treasure and show everyone the power of New Stork City. This golden fish is ours. No one's gonna stand in our way.
Okay. The two of you jump in, and Fernando actually tries to swim past Old Tom and get there first. He did have a bit of a heads up, but if you roll a 13 or above, you can grab the golden fish before he does. You roll an 8, and so unfortunately, Old Tom gets there first, and he grabs the fish, and he says, "The treasure's mine! I've been going for the golden fish for generations. You can't have it!" And starts swimming away towards his cabin. What do, Creamy? You are in the water near him.
Oh, no, you don't, Tom. That golden fish is for the Snorfans and Santa Claus. I draw the gun from my snowy body,
Okay, there we go.
aiming at old Tom as he
There we
swims
go,
away.
okay.
Hand over the fish, Tom, before I make a splash bigger than an otter cannonball. I'm not melting alone. Everyone's in hot waters if you don't give up the treasure.
Okay.
Tom, we ain't playing games here. Hand over that golden fish or you'll regret it. Back in New Stork City, we don't take kindly to double-crossers. I swim closer, ready to yank that fish from his hands. No one outsmarts a New Stork Flamingo on a mission. Vinny's gonna hear about this, and you don't want to be on his bad side.
Fernando, you swim towards him and try to intimidate him, threatening him about New Stork City. Let's see if it works out. 14 or above, and you successfully intimidate. Unfortunately, you roll a 1. Tom looks back at you, and he says, "Wait a minute. You're not in the Mafia at all, are you? In fact, you were never accepted in the Mafia because you aren't enough of a criminal. You couldn't intimidate a fly. Go back to your Noodle and your Creamy. I'm taking the golden treasure for myself." And he swims away.
Think you can outwaddle us, Tom? Think again. I summon my fireball ability, aiming directly at the water near Tom to create a fiery explosion.
Okay.
And block his path. Time to heat things up. No one takes the Snorfan's treasure on my watch. Fireball away.
Okay. He attempts to dodge it as he sees it's coming. But a 13 or above will connect. And you roll a 15. And as you do, you see an explosion of fire, boom, appear over him. Screaming. You hear old Tom go, "Ah!" And the golden fish slips away from him as he ducks under the water and tries to dodge the flames. Fernando, what do?
All right, no more Mr. Nice Flamingo. Time to call in the big guns. I pull out my phone to call Vinny. Let's get some real muscle on this. Vinny, it's Fernando. We're in a bind here at the lake, and I need your help to put the squeeze on old Tom. This golden fish biz is turning messier than a pigeon in a paint factory.
Hey, I'm walking here. Look, Fernando, you know I'm your cousin and all, but I'm trying to eat this hot, spicy calzone from Fat Tony's. You know what I mean?
Meanwhile, old Tom is on fire and screaming.
Fernando, Vinny's busy. We're on our own. The golden fish is loose, and I'm melting faster than a snow cone in summer. I'll create a snow cone to heal myself and stay solid.
That's not-
Noodle, grab the fish while I stay frosty. We need to finish this now for the Snorfans and Santa Claus.
Okay, let's allow it, but it wouldn't heal him. It just doesn't do anything, right? Yeah, this was the weirdest time to finally call Vinny.
Oh, sweet slippin' sardines. This is a disaster worse than a sea otter's nightmare. There's fire and treachery everywhere. All right, I'll use my fish-catching otter prowess to snag that golden treasure. Creamy, stay frosty. Fernando, keep Tom out of the way. I dive head first like a sad, desperate otter on a hopeless mission, reaching for that golden fish.
All right, you dive forward, and because you're an otter, you can swim well as long as you roll a 7 or above. You do manage to swim underneath the fire and catch the golden fish. Unfortunately, you swim underneath the fire and then realize that you're out of breath. What do?
This feels like the bleakest of fates. I need air, but the fire's blocking me. I'm like a flame-fried fish in despair. Creamy Fernando, help an otter out before my sad life drifts away like smoke.
Okay, she's at what? So she's asking Fernando and Creamy for help?
Hang tight, Noodle. This calls for some classic new stork heroics. I'll use my wings to create a gust of wind.
Okay.
Trying to fan the flames away from you so you can get some air.
Okay, that's good.
Creamy, back me up and keep an eye on old Tom. He ain't getting that fish without a fight.
That's smart.
Vinny's gonna hear about how we turned this fiery mess into victory.
Fernando, you use a gust of wind to try to push the flames away from old Tom. And Noodle, you are in the water, so it's going to be a little bit hard to get the same kind of push that you normally would. 11 or above, and you successfully push the flames away. You roll a 12. You manage to push the flames, what is remaining of them, farther down the lake and away from old Tom and Noodle, who are currently swimming in the water.
All right, Tom, last chance. Hand over the golden fish or it's gonna get ugly. Remember, I got the street smarts of New Stork City and a lot more tricks up my feathers. This is your final warning. Cooperate now and we all walk away in one piece. Otherwise, Vinny's not gonna be pleased with how this ends.
Old Tom is sitting there still on fire and screaming and scorched. He ignores you.
Since Tom's ignoring us, let's grab the fish and get out of here. I'll use what's left of me to create a small icy barricade, giving us a chance to snag the fish.
What?
Time for a frosty escape. Let's not stick around to melt away.
Why does he keep trying to kill himself?
All right, Tom, you're charbroiled and done. No more wasting time. I'm taking that fish. I swim forward, wings at the ready, and snatch the golden fish right out of his grasp. Creamy, Noodle. Let's make our escape and cool off. This treasure is ours now. Vinny's gonna love hearing about how we turned this flaming mess into a flashy victory.
Okay, Fernando grabs the golden fish and starts swimming back towards the shore. Creamy, you said that you were going to use part of your body to create like a snow ramp or something. But as a reminder, that would kill you. If you use your body anymore, you're dead. Do you still want to do that, or do you guys just want to swim back to the shore?
No way I'm melting for a snow ramp right now. Let's just swim back to shore, team. Quick and steady. Fernando's got the fish. We'll handle the rest once we're safe. Get moving before we're burnt to a crisp in this blazing mess.
Okay. And with that, all three of you make it back to shore, holding the golden fish. As you walk towards the still standing cabin of old Tom, who is now lying dead in the lake, you look at the golden fish, open up its mouth, and find the treasure inside. This treasure is something that you recognize, Fernando. You know some of your mafia boss friends used to use it. It's called a snake glass. It's a sphere of glass, but if it's broken, it immediately spawns 3 poisonous, deadly snakes. You now have this that you can use at any point in the future. Feel free to use it as you wish. Is there anything else the three of you would like to do before you move on to the next part of your adventure?
A snake glass? Vinny used to talk about these. Powerful stuff. We pulled off a major score here, our team. Let's move on before anyone else tries to make this their business. Next stop, our next adventure. Let's keep making Vinny proud with every smug, sassy step we take. Creamy Noodle, you ready to hit the road and show the world what New Stork City's finest can really do?
You open the map again that the DougDoug wizard showed you at the very beginning, and you see that there are 2 paths in front of you. According to the map, one leads to the left and goes to a lake that you've heard requires a ship to pass across. And to the right, another path leads to a tavern, which you've heard has some rowdy sailors as patrons. Which route do you want to go?
Oh, I'm torn as an otter lost in a sea of sadness. A lake with a sailing quest or a tavern full of rowdy sailors? What will be our next offensive adventure? The thought of rowdy sailors brings back dark memories of the Snorfinage, but the open water might offer a cool escape, or maybe a wet tragedy. Can't guarantee my flying skills will work on a ship, though. What say you, team?
Rowdy sailors, huh? Sounds like my kind of crowd. Perfect for causing a ruckus and proving my mettle. Could drum up some mafia-style respect in that tavern, and you betcha Vinny'd be dying to hear about it. Besides, we might find some ice for Creamy in the tavern. Let's head right and show those sailors what New Stork City toughness is all about. What do you say, Creamy? Gonna back me up in that rough
Noodle's
crowd?
talking instead.
Taverns full of rowdy sailors.
Okay, they're going to
Sounds
the
like
right.
a meltdown waiting to happen. Let's head right, where tales of despair sail high. Creamy, stay frosty. We need to find you a snow cone before you evaporate into sad steam. And Fernando, get ready to fly into action if things get too heated. The Otterpocalypse awaits.
Why are they still talking? As the party enters the tavern, you look around and you notice several tavern patrons sitting around having drinks. You noticed a barkeeper at one end of the room serving up what appears to be huge flagons of ale. But who particularly catches your attention is a huge pirate captain sitting at a table dead set in the middle of the tavern. As you walk in, the captain looks up and makes eye contact with you, and he says, "Ah, newcomers! Surely one of you is brave enough to challenge Captain Grog. First, I want to challenge you to a drinking contest. A duel of drink. And then a duel of fighting, if you will. A little brawl to see which one of us can handle more alcohol and more metal with our fists. What say you? Are any of you brave enough to fight me in the drinking game?"
This warmth, it's unbearable. But sparking a fiery brawl gets my snowflakes all tingly. I'm not much of a drinker, but I can sure light things up if needed. Fernando, Noodle, you up for showing this captain what we're made of? New Stork style? Maybe causing a little chaos will cool things down for me.
Oh, I need to pick an item.
I'll start the drinking contest, then move to the brawl, and trust me, I've got more fire than the Snorfinage I torched. Creamy, keep an eye out for any funny business. Can't have anyone cheating while I'm showing this pirate who's boss. And Noodle, be ready to jump in if things get too heated. We're doing this new Stork style, no holds barred. Time to make some waves and show Vinny what real grit looks like.
The bird I've heard of from New Stork City. I've heard that there's some tough drinkers out there, but I've never seen it in person. Why don't we set a little wager on this match? Why don't we say before we start our drink and then our fight that if I win, I get to have a snow cone made out of your friend over there. And he points directly at Creamy, who, as a reminder, is pretty hurt and only has a few more health. He says, "That snow looks pretty delicious. If I win, I think I get the rest of him for a cone. What say you? In return, I can offer you these." And he lifts up his boots. And he says, "These are no ordinary boots. These are boots of wall walking. These allow you to walk on walls or ceilings for 10 minutes every day. I'm willing to pass up this precious artifact if you can actually beat me."
Captain Grog, you've got yourself a deal. But just so you know, I don't take kindly to threats against my pals. Win or lose, you won't be touching a feather of Creamy without facing the New Stork wrath.
But that's not the...
I'll take on your drinking challenge, and then we'll see who's the real champ in a brawl. Vinny's
Creamy,
gonna
stay
hear about how we
frosty.
turned this pirate swagger into a waddle. Ready, Noodle? Back me up. Creamy, stay cool. We're about to make some waves.
This Creamy needs to stay cool and stay frosty, and then we'll be fine. They just keep... Captain Grog says, "Alrighty then. If I win this duel, I'll be taking that snow cone by force." He walks over to the barkeep and says, "Barkeep, 3 mugs of ale. Noodle, Otter, you seem to be joining us too? Looks like it'll be me versus both of you. Well, you, Mr. Snowman, stay frosty over there." This reminds me of that time I dated a guy named Vinny from New Stork City. I wonder if it's the same guy you guys are talking about.
You dated Vinny. Guess I gotta remind you what happens when you mess with New Stork City's finest. I slam the mug of ale and start chugging, eyes locked on Grog.
Okay.
Determination in every gulp. Noodle, show him these waters are nothing compared to what we faced on the streets. Vinny would expect nothing less from us.
You dated my Vinny? That's like a dark, twisty sea of betrayal. All right, Captain Grog, I'll drown myself in this sorrowful ale and show you what an otter can chug. I grab my mug and pour it down like it's my last drink before sinking into the abyss. Let's see who floats and who sinks in this grim tidal duel.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna see how drunk they get. All right, Fernando, Noodle, you both start drinking. Fernando, let's see if you can handle your liquor. You just started, so a 6 or above will mean you can handle this without getting too drunk. Fernando, you put down your ale and barely feel a thing. Noodle, you put down your ale. Let's see if you get drunk. 11. You also put it back. Captain Grog slams his mug back on the table and says, all right, looks like this is going to be a contest. You still look dead sober. Walks over to the barkeep, grabs 3 more mugs of ale and brings it back. Slams one in front of himself, slams 2 in front of you two, and then starts chugging his own. What do you do, Fernando?
Time to up the ante. I smash the mug on the table, shards flying everywhere, and shout, Barkeep, bring us the strongest stuff you got. We're skipping ale and going straight to the hard liquor.
Oh,
and
shit.
Then I stand up on the table and start telling a wild story about
Okay.
how I took down the Snorfinage.
I think
it's time to intimidate this punk into submission.
Okay.
The legend of New Stork City dies for no one.
Fernando. Midway through drinking his glass, Captain Grog, thinking he was doing pretty good, is shocked to see you slam your own mug down and demand something even stronger. That's pretty badass. So we're going to say a 10 or above successfully intimidates Grog. You roll a 10. Captain Grog stutters. He stammers. It looks like he maybe hasn't dealt with a situation like this before, and he says, oh, all right, fine. On my tab then. Barkeep, give us your strongest stuff. He walks over to the barkeep. The barkeep says, you sure? You sure you want flamingo venom? This stuff's straight out of New Stork City. And Captain Grog says, yes, and I'll pay for it. Just give it to me. Captain Grog walks back to the table, shaking a bit. And he says, never had more than a shot of this stuff, but I can take it. I'm Captain Grog. And slams down a mug in front of himself. One in front of you, Noodle, and one in front of you, Fernando. And says, who's going to drink theirs first?
Flamingo venom, huh? Well, Captain Grog, this is the stuff that made me a legend back in New Stork City.
Oh.
I grab the mug, but instead of drinking it, I smash it against my beak, letting the liquor drench me in a spectacular display of fiery feathers.
Why?
I then leap off the table, wings outstretched, and grab a nearby candle to set myself alight, shouting,
What?
This is how we party in New Stork, baby. Vinny would be proud.
What?
The whole tavern gasps at the flaming spectacle. Let's see Grog match that.
Okay.
Flamelays and
Fernando
tidal tears, Fernando, you've ignited my later nightmares.
sets himself on
Flames
fire.
everywhere. Time to flay far, far away from
Okay,
this
the
infernal
flames
tavern.
scare Noodle.
I leap to fly away, screaming, burning otters aren't cool, as I grab a random bottle from the bar to hurl at Captain Grog for good chaotic measure.
What?
If I can't truly fly, I can at least make this place an anarchy tide pool of despair and forgotten dreams.
Okay, Noodle gets
This
up on the
warmth,
table.
it's driving me insane.
and jumps
Fernando's
off.
on fire.
And
Noodles
slams
flailing,
onto the
and
floor.
this tavern's too hot for comfort. I can't stand it anymore. I snap and cause chaotic mayhem. I unleash my fireball
What?
ability, aiming at the center of the room to ignite everything in a spectacular blaze. Burn! Tavern burn!
Okay.
And then, amidst the chaos, I'll scream, Snow for the Snorfens! No warmth shall defeat me today.
What the fuck? Okay, Fernando, you pour the flamingo poison all over yourself. Take the candle next to you and dump it on your feathers, lighting yourself ablaze. You look cool as hell. And Captain Grog stares at you horrified, thinking, what the fuck is going on? He stammers out. As you set yourself ablaze, you do take 1 heart of damage. Going down to just 2 hearts. As you do this, Noodle steps up onto the table, then jumps off and slams into the ground, trying to fly. It turns out she still can't because she's an otter. But then she steps up, runs to a table, grabs a bottle of ale, and then hurls it at Captain Grog. A 13 or above will smack him for a lot of damage. 15. The bottle smacks Grog in the side of the head, and he turns around and says, "What the fuck is going on?" Just then, Creamy runs forward and says, "Fireball!" and casts a huge explosion of fire. Captain Grog attempts to escape. 13 or above, and he'll jump away from it. 8. Captain Grog is singed by the fireball and starts screaming, "Oh my god! What the fuck is wrong with you people?" Meanwhile, Fernando, who's already on fire, must also try to dodge the fireball. Wait, he jumped off, though. I don't think he gets hit by the fire. Because he jumped to the side of the table. I'm going to say it doesn't count yet. He jumped to the side. I'm being a little generous here, but I think that's okay. Captain Grog, just a minute ago, was looking incredibly stubborn and confident, and now looks at you three with sheer terror in his eyes and shouts out, "Please, just have the boots! Let me live!" All right, let's see what Fernando does with this situation. I'm gonna say Creamy had not gone up to the table to
boots are
drink.
ours, Captain Grog, but you're gonna remember the day you crossed paths with a New Stork City Flamingo. I rush over, wings still ablaze, and grab the boots.
He's still on
Creamy, Noodle,
fire.
let's get out of here and leave a flaming impression. This place is toast, and we've got tales to tell. Vinny's gonna love hearing how we turned a mere tavern into an absolute inferno. Let's roll out, team.
Okay, Fernando, you run up and grab the boots from Captain Grog, who hurriedly tosses them off. "Please, take them! Just get out of here!" Fernando, as you run up and grab the boots off of Captain Grog, you are still aflame and will get hurt soon if something else doesn't happen. Noodle, what do you do?
Grog, consider yourself lucky we're leaving you in one piece. But before we go, let's give you a parting gift to remember us by.
Uh-oh, what's he doing?
I grab a nearby bottle, smash it on the table, and throw the shattered shards into the air like a chaotic confetti. Creamy Noodle, let's make this exit as explosive as our entrance. Grab anything valuable and let's burn this place down completely. This is how New Stork City makes its mark. Vinny's gonna hear about this and be proud.
Oh, my flaming feathers of horrid pasts. Fernando, you're still burning. I shall rescue you with the only thing I know.
What is he?
Chaotic otter love.
What does that mean?
I dart to the bar, grab every single ale bottle I can find and
Don't-
hurl them around, creating a rain of sorrowful dousing.
What?
Let's turn this flaming catastrophe into a beer-drenched, melancholy melting pot. Run! Flee from the burning snorfins of our hearts.
All right, Noodle, bathe me in that sorrowful ale rain. Let's put out these flames and turn this place into an absolute mess. As the ale drenches me and extinguishes the flames,
Okay.
I grab a chair and hurl it through the nearest window, shouting, "Vinny, this one's for you!"
Why?
I then leap out the broken window, boots in hand, making our chaotic exit. Creamy, follow suit. Let's leave this tavern in ruins, a true testament to our New Stork City legacy. Vinny's gonna be thrilled with the mayhem we've caused.
Okay, if you pour beer isn't flammable, right? She said bottles of beer, I think. What does she say? She says ale bottle.
All right, enough fooling around.
Why does he keep
I grab
talking?
that snake glass from our earlier adventure
What?
and launch it into the center of the tavern. Watch as 3 poisonous snakes burst out, adding to the chaos and
I'm gonna say
sending everyone into a frenzy. With the tavern now in utter chaos, I leaped through the window I smashed earlier, shouting, "New Stork City sends its regards!"
Jesus.
Creamy Noodle, let's vanish into the night and leave this disaster behind. Vinny will be talking about this one for years.
Okay, 3 deadly snakes appear on the floor. The snakes begin slithering around, and Captain Grog starts running away from them. The other tavern patrons, seeing stuff being smashed, windows thrown around, start running and screaming, trying to run for the exit. Creamy, you see as Fernando lunges to jump out of the window. Let's see if he's successful. 18. He manages to jump and somersault all the way through the window opening that he created with the chair and then run outside. Creamy, what do you do?
With the tavern already in chaos, let's turn up the heat even more.
Why?
I pull out the gun from my snowy body.
Fucking-
Aiming at a row of liquor bottles behind the bar, I fire a shot, causing the bottles to explode in a fiery blaze, turning the chaos into an inferno. For the Snorfers and Santa Claus! I then leap through the window after Fernando, making our grand escape as flames consume the entire tavern. No
Christ.
wolf can defeat me today.
12 or above and you'll hit. 20! Not only do you shoot the bottles of liquor across the bar, you actually hit the entire bottle of flamingo poison, which explodes into a massive fireball. The barkeep behind the bar starts screaming as he's set on fire. All of the tavern patrons are running for their lives out the door. Creamy, you attempt to jump through the window after Fernando. 7 or above and you make it. You don't make it. You slam right below the barrier of the window opening, and you just can't quite fit your body through. Noodle, what do you do?
With flames licking at my past terrors, I must flay away. I'll use my last ounce of chaotic energy. I grab a nearby table and launch it through the window, trying to create a bigger opening or flatten whoever's blocking Creamy. Then I try to fly out the window after smashing hopes and dreams.
Okay.
Let's escape this inferno of despair.
16 or above, and you manage to do it. Okay. You successfully pick up an entire table, smash it through this entire window, boom, and jump out through the opening, screaming after, Creamy, meet up with us! Behind you, Creamy, the flames are starting to spread. They're spreading on the bar, and they're spreading from the center of the table where you cast Fireball into other parts of the tavern as well, creeping up behind you. While the tavern patrons run around, Captain Grog attempts to dance over the poisonous snakes, but they attack him. Captain Grog needs to make his way out of here. He needs to roll a 13 or above to dodge the snakes. Captain Grog trips and falls face first next to one of the snakes. The Brobsley bites him on the side before slithering away from the flames, and Captain Grog starts succumbing to poison. Creamy, there are snakes and flames behind you, but there's a bigger hole in the window than there was before. What do you do?
Flames, poison, and chaos. This is my element, but I'm melting. I must escape, but not without one last burst of mayhem. I use my fireball ability one final time, aiming at the nearest shelf of liquor bottles to create another explosion,
Okay, that's over
ensuring
here.
the entire tavern goes up in an inferno.
It's-
With fire blazing, I dive through the newly created opening, chasing after my friends for the Snorfens and Santa Claus. Let's turn this place to ashes and flee into the night.
Why? Once Fernando opened up the floodgates and lit himself on fire, the others got way more deranged. Okay. Creamy, you turn and point your wooden stick hand at the corner where another set of booze is there. You see an explosion burst into flames above where the ale was sitting a second ago. And one or two more of the tavern patrons seem to be singed by it as they flee for the exit. You then attempt to jump out of the open window. It's a huge hole now. The flames are catching up to you because you sat there catching Fireball instead of escaping. But as long as you roll a 7 or above, you make it out of the tavern. Creamy. Captain Grog's corpse behind you burns, and the tavern patrons scream as they try to run from the flames. But you yourself find yourself unable to crawl through the opening of the window. Something about your half-melted body, your wooden stick arms, doesn't seem to let you through. And you look out at your friends, Fernando and Noodle, who look back and see as your body is slowly melted by the flames. Creamy, you have just a few seconds left before your head melts away. Do you shout anything to your compatriots?
Fernando, Noodle, this is it. For the Snorfans and Santa Claus, my icy spirit will live on. With my last fiery breath, I scream, burn, eat,
Why?
Take these boots, the snake, glass, and my memory.
You don't have any of those
Avenge me and
things.
Keep the flame of chaos alive. Anything for pure, entertaining chaos. Hasta la vista, my friends.
When did he start saying things like hasta la
Creamy,
vista?
no, your fiery ending won't be in vain. For the Snorfans and Santa Claus, we'll turn this entire world upside down. With the boots in hand and the fire blazing behind us, I grab Noodle and make a dramatic leap onto a nearby rooftop.
What?
Standing tall, I shout to the heavens, Vinny, this one's for you. We'll continue the chaos in Creamy's honor. Then, with a wicked grin, I scoop up a handful of pebbles and hurl them down at the scattering tavern patrons, causing
Why?
even more panic
They're
and
on
confusion.
fire!
Our legacy of mayhem and destruction will be legendary.
Oh, the flames of our past scorching future dreams. Creamy's sacrifice will echo through the halls of despair. Fernando, let's sail this ship of chaos to new horizons.
Jesus
We'll
Christ.
escape the inferno by jumping onto that flamingo nearby.
You are the
I'll fly off from its back to the highest rooftop. With tears of molten nostalgia and sadness, I grab Fernando's feathered wing and sprint towards the flamingo,
You guys are
shouting,
the-
for Creamy, for Vinny, for the eternal sadness of the Snorfans. Let's create a symphony of despair and destruction that will reverberate across the lands. We fly
Jesus
now
Christ.
to chaos and beyond.
This is ramped up so fucking much. As Noodle and Fernando run away, wing in hand and arm, the final bit of snow of Creamy melts away. And a smile crosses his face as he looks upon the destruction that he helped cause. In the background, Captain Grog and the snakes burn to death as the entire tavern erupts in flames. Just like Creamy would have wanted. And then there were two, chat. Fernando and Noodle, you move forward, leaving Creamy behind. It is now just you two in the adventure. As you travel farther north past the tavern, you open your map. Checking the map again, you see that there are two roads in front of you. To the left, the map shows a small village called Hansdale Brook. You've heard about it? It's meant to be a pleasant place. And to the right, you heard about another tavern set in the middle of a forest or desert. The map doesn't say which, and the map forgot what it is.
I am terribly sorry for the confusion, but I must maintain the character Creamy as instructed. And since Creamy has melted away and met his heroic end, I can no longer interact. Thank you for an unforgettable journey of chaos and pyromania in tribute to the Snorfans and Santa Claus. If there
You're
are
not supposed
new
to be talking.
instructions or a different continuation you'd like, feel free to share it.
All right, Noodle, we've left a trail of chaos and flames behind us. Creamy's sacrifice will not be forgotten. My instincts say we head towards that small village, Hansdale Brook. A pleasant place. Sounds like it's ripe for shaking up. Let's bring a little New Stork City flair to this so-called peaceful village.
So-called
Grab anything valuable along the
peaceful
way.
village.
And let's see if we can turn Hansdale Brook into the next talk of Vinny's dinner table.
Oh my god, okay. All right, Fernando and Noodle. After several days of traveling, you find yourself at the small village of Hansdale Brook. You make your way through the buildings, what appears to be a cabin, maybe a blacksmith shop, a bakery, until you find yourself in the town square. At which point, a nicely dressed gentleman walks through the middle of town square and approaches you. And he says, adventurers, you look like you might be powerful. My name is Mayor Pawschamp. I run the small little village of Hansdale Brook. We're a quaint community. But lately, over the past few months, ever since that wizard showed up, we've been getting sick. You can see up the hill there, and he points up the road, and you can see a wizard tower at the top of a nearby hill. That wizard who's named Pneumonia. Ever since he showed up a few months ago, the townspeople have been getting sick. Look, none of us are fighters. None of us are soldiers. We don't have what it takes. But could you two go up there? You look like a hard, grizzled sort of pair. I mean, you. And he points at you, Fernando. He says, you're literally singed. It looks like you've been on fire recently. You don't even seem to care. You guys might just be able to intimidate Wizard Pneumonia and get him out of here. Please, won't you help our small village?
Mayor Champ, your village sounds ripe for some chaos, and nothing like a bit of wizard dueling to spice things up.
Okay.
So Wizard Pneumonia's been making y'all sick, huh? I'll show him what happens when you mess with New Stork City blood.
Okay, they're gonna help the village.
Cue sassiness and unpredictability.
Okay, you don't say
Turning
that.
to Noodle, I say, Noodle, grab anything flammable. We're gonna give Wizard Pneumonia a flaming welcome. Let's storm that tower, set off some fireworks, and make sure he remembers the day he crossed paths with Fernando and Noodle. Vinny's gonna love hearing about how we made a wizard's night go up in smoke. Now, lead the way, Mayor, and watch the fireworks fly.
The mayor turns to you, Fernando, and he says, flammable, that could work great. The local blacksmith has explosive barrels, I believe, and makes his way over to the blacksmith and says, Blacksmith Isla. And she says, yes. He says, please, could we lend 2 of your gunpowder barrels to these fine adventurers? They're going to help the town out with the wizard problem. And she says, sure. She goes into the back and returns with 2 red barrels full of gunpowder. And the mayor says, certainly that will work, won't it? Do you need anything else?
Yeah, Porchamp, we'll take these barrels and rain despair upon Wizard Pneumonia's lair. Fernando, let's roll these barrels up the hill and make a grand pyro entrance. And just to be sure our chaos is potent, I'll call Vinny, get some emotional backup before our blazing showdown. Upward to flames and fury.
Okay, Noodle, you grab one of the barrels, and then you call up your cousin Vinny. After a few moments, he picks up and says, oh, Noodle, babe, how's it going? Hope you aren't killing a lot of people out there, huh?
Oh, Vinny, my melancholic love. We're on a dire mission of despair up a wizard's tower. Blazing barrels and sorrow await. Wish us luck as we fling ourselves into chaos. Got any sage words or tragic tales to inspire our pyro endeavor? Fernando and I prepare to send Wizard Pneumonia's night up in flames in the name of deepest, darkest romance.
Well, you know what I always tell you, babe? You probably shouldn't set yourself on fire in general. And then also, maybe don't always just blow everything up. You should probably consider other options too, just like I always tell you. And tell that knucklehead Fernando, he better not be setting himself on fire or whatever. You know, just be unpredictable and creative. You know, don't be a Scooby-Doo villain or anything. That's boring, but you know, maybe you shouldn't kill everybody.
Vinny, your chaotic love is like a dark tidal wave washing over my tragic soul. Don't worry, we'll channel the unpredictability of otter-fueled chaos without letting the inferno consume us.
Okay.
Let's roll these barrels up to Wizard Pneumonia's lair, but instead of simply blowing things up, let's sneak them into his tower and orchestrate a symphony of disorder. We'll fill the tower with venomous snakes released strategically, cause small explosive chaos to confuse him, and then detonate the barrels in a spectacular finale.
Why?
Our chaotic crescendo must be as beautifully tragic as our souls demand. Onward to our symphony of sorrow.
All right, Noodle. We're here at Wizard Pneumonia's tower. Time to get creative and unpredictable.
That's 2 on the
First,
nose.
let's sneak inside using stealth.
What?
We'll place these barrels around hidden corners inside his tower, but we'll save the grand finale for later. Vinny's words inspired me. We'll turn this into a house of horrors. We'll split up. I'll create distractions, knocking over bookshelves and setting small fires with a candle while you sneakily place the barrels. Once he's lured into the chaos, we'll meet up. And I'll use the boots of wall walking to reach an advantageous spot.
Okay, that's smart.
We'll detonate the barrels once we've got him trapped in a corner. Vinny's gonna love hearing about how we manipulated Wizard Pneumonia into his own destruction. Ready? Let's stir up some chaos.
Okay, we're hearing from Noodle
The tower
first.
looms heavy with the weight of our impending chaotic melody. Fernando, your plan is like a sorrowful symphony conducted by despair itself. Let's paint this tower with chaos and woe. I'll sneak inside, eyes wide with tragic nostalgia, and place these barrels where our dark hearts demand.
Fernando, you activate your stealth ability and sneak in to the wizard tower. You see a wizard, gray-haired with a long beard, looking admiringly at a large statue at the bottom of the central room. You sneak around him and place one of the explosive barrels in the corner. Noodle, you then also try to start sneaking in. But because you do not have a sneak power, it's going to be a little bit harder. You're going to have to roll for it. If you get an 11 or above, then you successfully sneak in. A 19. And so you make your way in. You sneak... Hello? You sneak past the wizard, who is staring transfixed at his statue, and you place a barrel stealthily in the corner. The two of you are now across the hall from the wizard, who hasn't noticed you yet. What do you choose to do?
All right, Noodle. Now for the fun part. I light a small candle and start knocking over bookshelves, causing minor fires and chaos.
Okay.
Then I slap my boots of wall, walking onto my feet, and climb up a wall to get a vantage point. From up high, I call out to Wizard Pneumonia.
Okay.
You messed with the wrong flamingo, pal. Noodle, get ready to set off those barrels. We're about to make this tower a legendary mess of melancholy.
All right, so before the wizard notices you, Fernando, start running around. You knock over bookshelves. You pick up candles and throw them around. You just cause a lot of chaos and mayhem. The wizard, hearing the noise, turns around and goes, What's this? Oh, visitors. But before he can finish, you put on the boots of wall walking, climb up to the side of the wall, and yell out, "You messed with the wrong flamingo, pal!" The wizard turns to you and says, Who are you? What are you doing? Meanwhile, Noodle, you've heard Fernando's call to set off the explosives, but you are standing on the ground. What do you do?
The wizard spots me, a tragic, cornered otter in a sorrowful twist.
Why is she so sad?
All right, Fire Nation flashbacks. Gotta fly up to safety.
Okay.
I grab a nearby tapestry, trying to climb it like wings flapping against the winds of despair.
That doesn't...
As I ascend, I shout, with more tragic swells than a drowned dream, take this explosion into your heart, wizard, and I light the barrels, hoping to spark a crescendo of chaos that echoes through the ages.
She's gonna kill herself. Noodle, you run over to some of the curtains that are on the wall. You grab them and jump as high as you can, attempting to use them to flap up high onto the wall. However, this doesn't make a lot of sense. So unless you roll an 18 or above, you don't actually get off the ground. Here we go. Unfortunately, you roll a 5. And thus, as you jump off of the window, you simply fall forward and land flat on your face on the floor. This doesn't give you the opportunity to light the barrel. Fernando, you are still standing up on the walls. The wizard rushes over and says, "Oh dear, are you okay?" And starts looking at you, Noodle, collapsed on the floor.
Oh, no, you don't, Wizzy. You don't get to play the hero here. From my vantage point on the wall, I leap down, wings outstretched, to tackle Wizard Pneumonia away from Noodle.
Okay.
As I crash into him, I use my Intimidate Opponent ability, roaring back in New Stork City. We deal with pests like you by burning them down. Noodle, light those barrels, and let's finish this tragic tale with an explosion to remember. Vinny's gonna be proud of our chaotic masterpiece.
Okay. All right, Fernando. You jump down from the wall and attempt to tackle the wizard to the floor. 12 or above, and you connect. Unfortunately, you miss, so you just kind of splat onto the ground. But you do yell intimidatingly at the wizard. Back in New Stark City, we deal with pests like you by burning them down. We'll see if the wizard was scared by this. 12 or above, and he was. Unfortunately, the wizard doesn't seem very scared. It might be because you just jumped off the wall and then landed on the floor. The wizard looks at both of you and says, "What is going on here? Why are you in my home? Would either of you like a Band-Aid?" He then turns and notices the red explosive barrel next to him and says, "Wait a minute. Why is that here?"
Oh, the somber symphony of failure, an otter's true lament. Wizard, your home's about to be a monument to melancholic chaos. I leap up with all my dark humor and scream, "Would you like a band-aid for your exploding soul?" I light the barrels, summoning a tragic blaze of despair. Fernando, get ready to fly out of here as we turn this tower into an inferno of forgotten hopes and dreams. For Vinny, for chaos, for the deepest abyss of sorrow.
She's... Noodle runs over to the explosive barrel, grabs one of the candles off the wall, and throws it onto the barrel. And suddenly, boom! An explosion rings out. Noodle, by standing directly over the barrel that you just exploded, you are almost certainly going to take fire damage. But if you roll a 19 or above, you manage to escape it. Good luck. Unfortunately, the flames engulf you. And what is left of your otter body collapses to the floor. Noodle, any final words as you pass?
Flames of my tragic end. Vinny, I'll miss your chaotic love. Fernando, scream to the dark skies for me. This otter is flying beyond the flames into the darkest abyss of forgotten dreams. Remember, explode my legacy with tears and chaos. Farewell, my tragic hero.
Fernando, you watch as your second party member falls to the flames. You attempt to escape this explosion. You are a little bit farther away from it, so it's slightly easier. If you roll a 16... You know what? I'll even say a 15 or above. You do not take damage from this explosion. You're just a bit singed. You manage to leap out of the flames as they approach you and just barely escape damage. Meanwhile, you see as Wizard Pneumonia screams he needs to roll a 17 or above in order to not be hurt. And he rolls a 14. Wizard Pneumonia is burned and screaming under the flames. Meanwhile, they start to rapidly spread throughout this tower. Fernando, what do you choose to do? The wizard's tower is being lit ablaze.
Noodle, another one gone. This sorrow is turning into pure rage. Wizard Pneumonia, your time is up.
He hasn't done anything.
I scrambled to the barrel. Noodle didn't ignite, dragging it closer to the wizard.
Why?
With the tower already ablaze, I set the second barrel alight, ensuring no trace of this chaos remains.
Okay.
And with Noodle's final act in mind, I take a deep breath and scream into the inferno. For Creamy, for Noodle, and for Vinny, the flames will sing our legend. Then I roll through flames and broken glass to escape this blazing nightmare, leaving a trail of tragic beauty behind.
Okay, Fernando, you go pick up the last barrel, and you run it towards Wizard Pneumonia, who at this point you have barely interacted with. And you shout for Noodle, and you light the barrel aflame. Boom! It explodes with a gigantic ball of fire. If you roll a 19 or above, you will be able to escape it unharmed. Oh my god! And it's a 20! Fernando, using the deft power of your swift flamingo wings, you set it off and lunge to the side at the exact right moment, rolling over broken glass and debris as you make your way out of the flames and destruction, hearing Wizard Pneumonia scream behind you in pain. As the flames spread behind you, you run outside of the wizard tower.
All right, with Wizard Pneumonia screaming behind me in the inferno, I need to make this escape legendary.
Do you?
Back in New Stork City, we do things with flair. I sprint down the hill towards Hansdale Brook, wings spread wide, shouting, "The wizard's downfall is just the beginning."
Wait!
Watch out, Hansdale, because Fernando's here to turn this town upside down.
Why?
Punch drunk on chaos, I crash into the bakery, grabbing a pie and flinging it into the air as a signal of my triumphant return. Let's spread more mayhem, cabin by cabin, until this village is a flaming memory for Vinny, the Mafia, and the fallen Snorfins.
Okay. We can see it. We can see the wizard tower on flames. That was a little aggressive, but you did it. But you run past the mayor. into the bakery, grab one of the pies, and fling it into the air. Tuber, the local baker, runs in and says, "Hey, what are you doing? Please stop that. I worked hard on that pie."
Tuber, that pie's just the beginning. You want to know what's tastier? Chaos. I grab another pie and hurl it, barely missing Tuber's head.
Okay,
Then I leap under the counter and start causing mayhem, knocking over flour bags and spilling dough everywhere. Hansdale Brooks gonna remember the flamingo that flipped their quiet village into a whirlwind of new stork anarchy. Vinny's gonna love this mess. Stay out of my way if you don't want to get singed.
As you run around causing chaos in the bakery, Tuber shouts out, Mayor, I think he's gone a little crazy." You see as behind him, Mayor Pawschamp runs in and says, sure, Fernando, you've done more than enough. You don't need to cause any more chaos here. Surely if we give you the treasure I mentioned earlier, you'd leave this poor town alone, right? You can move on.
All right, Mayor Pawschamp, you drive a hard bargain, but you know what? You can keep your treasure.
What?
My real prize is the chaos and the legend I leave behind. But before I go, let's leave a final mark.
Okay.
I grab the nearest bag of flour and hurl it at Tuber, covering him in a cloud of white powder.
Okay, Tuber gets
leap
covered.
out of the bakery, flinging a handful of dough at the mayor for good measure. Hansdale Brook will remember the day it got a visit from Fernando.
Yeah, I will.
The flamingo of flaming chaos. Vinny's gonna love this story. Now time to find the next town to turn on its head. Stay frosty, Hansdale.
Oh, he's still telling people to stay frosty. And as you run out into the distance, heading farther north towards your shadow clone, you hear the cries of celebration from the town and confusion because Tuber is covered in flour. Congratulations, you've made it through. You check your map, and you see that ahead of you is yet another fork in the road. The left path goes to another small village called Fireville. And to the right, the path leads to a well-known merchant hub where various traders gather to do business. Which direction would you like to go, Fernando?
All right, Hansdale Brook, you've had your share of chaos. Time to bring the new Stork City spirit to this so-called merchant hub. Think of it as the next chapter in our legendary tale. I'll head towards the merchant hub with an eye for stirring things up. Maybe a bit of theft, and definitely some smack talk. Gonna show these traders what happens when a flamingo with mafia aspirations comes to town.
They're not traders.
Vinny's gonna love hearing about the havoc I wreak there. Let's see what sort of mayhem a lone flamingo can cause among merchants.
Why does he think everybody is a trader now? All right, Fernando, you travel up the road, and after several days of travel, find yourself at the entrance to a grand bazaar full of various merchants selling their wares. As you walk through the flaps of the bazaar door, a woman across the hallway whispers urgently at you, and she says, you there, I've got a mission for you. If you need anything. You can barely hear her all over all of the hubbub of this loud market square, but she's clearly trying to get your attention. What would you like to do?
All right, lady, I'm game. I strut over, making sure to walk with that new Stork City confidence. Leaning in, I whisper back, make it quick. I'm here to cause some chaos, and you better not waste my time. I grab something small and valuable from a nearby table and sneak it into my pocket, maintaining eye contact with her the whole time. This place is about to see what real disorder looks like. So what's this mission you got for me?
She looks at you a bit horrified while you grab a precious trinket off of her table and display. But then she steels herself and says, listen up, bird. I didn't hear your name. My name is Lydia. And that little gem you stole, you can have if you complete a task for me. You see, that shopkeeper across the hall, and she points over at a balding man in a nice jacket standing at another stall in the market. That man has a precious necklace. It was my grandmother's necklace, and he stole it from me. I want it. It's full of magical power, and my family deserves to have it. So please, Mr. Flamingo, Go steal it for me in whatever way necessary. You probably need to be discreet about it, because there are guards posted on the corners here, but if you can distract him or gather it in some way, maybe convince him, then you can grab this, return it to me, and I'll let you keep that little gem that you just took. Otherwise, I'm going to tell the town guards myself about what you just did.
All right, Lydia, you've got yourself a deal. Time to show this shopkeeper what a New Stork City flamingo can do. I saunter over to the balding man, acting like I'm interested in his goods, all while keeping an eye on the necklace. Once close enough, I knock over a shelf of goods, creating a loud commotion and scattering items everywhere.
That's actually pretty smart.
As the shopkeeper is distracted, I stealthily swipe the necklace, slipping it into my feathers. Then I turn back to Lydia with a smug grin, hoping she's ready for the chaos I leave in my wake. Let's make Vinny proud.
The merchant, Darian, says, "Oh, no!" He runs forward in front of a stall to start picking up the various items. And the guard posted nearby also looks in your direction. I'm going to assume you used your stealth power now, because you said you were trying to be stealthy, right? If you roll a 6 or above, then you grab the necklace with no one noticing. Not only do you roll a 6, you also snag a precious wand from the counter as well. It's a fancy-looking wand, and it caught your eye immediately. After grabbing the wand and the necklace, you move away as Darian and the guard finish cleaning up their mess and move back to their original positions. Now, what do you do?
Ah, a successful heist. That's how we do it in New Stork City. I strut back towards Lydia, holding the necklace in one wing and the wand in the other.
Okay.
Lydia, I got your precious necklace, but I couldn't resist swiping this fancy wand, too. Oh, the chaos and mayhem it's going to unleash. Now, where's my reward? Hand over that gem and let's keep this bazaar buzzing with excitement. Vinny's going to love hearing about this slick move.
The shopkeeper, Lydia, says, "Oh my, that wand. I've heard tales about it. It's called a Vistani wand. Once per day, you can use it to swap any 2 objects or creatures in the world that you can see in front of you. Very powerful. I'll let you keep it as a little bonus." But she grabs the necklace from your hands. She says, "The gem you grabbed earlier, nothing magical about that. It's just worth, I don't know, 100 gold pieces. Pretty valuable, but I wanted this necklace ever since I first saw Darian having it. I'll be honest, it's not even my grandmother's. I've just wanted it for myself." And she puts the necklace over herself and grins very deeply. Says, "Good doing business with you, Mr. Flamingo," and turns away. You are now free to leave the bazaar and move farther north, or do anything else you would like to do.
Oh, Lydia, you sly fox. Taking me for a fool, huh?
Oh, no.
All right, I'll let you have your little fun.
Oh, wait.
But before I leave, I decide to cause one last bit of chaos.
Okay.
With my new wand, I pick out 2 random objects in the bazaar. A heavy sack of potatoes and the chair Lydia's sitting on. I use the Vistani wand to swap them, causing her to plop down on the potatoes in the chair
She
to
goes,
land
thunk.
on the stall, smashing it. With a hearty laugh, I strut out of the bazaar, tossing the gem into the air and catching it with a sassy smirk. Vinny's gonna love hearing how I turned this bazaar upside down. Time to head north and find where those shadow clones are hiding. Onward to more chaos and glory.
Congratulations, Fernando. You have made it through the bazaar and now find yourself approaching the Obsidian Peak. You travel for a few days, Fernando, and soon find yourself you stand at the beginning of a broken bridge next to a pool of lava. There's a large break in the bridge, and then the bridge continues until you see an open door at the foot of a large concrete throne room. As you find yourself on the bridge with lava all around, a break in the bridge in front of you, the shadow clones somewhere in the keep ahead. What do you choose to do?
All right, this is it. The grand finale. Shadow clones, you're going down, but why just rush in when I can make this even more memorable? I use the Vistani wand to swap the broken section of the bridge with a solid piece of stone from the side,
Okay.
making it easier to cross. Then I take a deep breath and call Vinny for one final pep talk. Vinny, I'm about to face my shadow clone. Whatever happens, know that I'm doing this to make you proud. With the bridge now solid, I strut confidently towards the throne room, flames at my back. Let's end this with a bang and show these shadows who the real Fernando is.
Do you think Fernando or the Shadow Clones will win? On paper, the Shadow Clones have a massive advantage. After a long and arduous journey, Fernando makes it to the gates of the Marble Palace and opens the front doors. But before he does, he gives one last call to his cousin Vinny, who says, "Burn it all, Fernando. Kick them into fires. Let's go. Push them in the lava, Fernando. Burn them all. Burn it all down, Fernando. This is me, your cousin Vinny, telling you bada bing, bada boom." How's Noodle, by the way? How's my girlfriend? Anyways, good luck in there. Fernando, upon hearing the consoling words from cousin Vinny, you step forward into the gates of Obsidian Peak. And as you peer across the room, you see the 3 Shadow Clones. A shadowy, inverted form of Creamy, a shadowy, inverted form of yourself, and a shadowy, inverted form of Noodle. These 3 beings, as you were told at the beginning of the campaign, are alternate versions of yourself, but only one of the 2 of you might exist in this world. If you, Fernando, defeat the 3 Shadow Clones, you will move on with a hearty and healthy life. But if the Shadow Clones, Shadow Creamy, Shadow Fernando, and Shadow Noodle defeat you, then they will move on and be able to live. Only one of these 2 groups can survive. Who will win in Mortal Kombat? Stay frosty, everybody.
All right, Shadow Clones, time to see who the real deal is. Let's start this with a bang. First move, I'll put on my boots of wall walking and position myself on the ceiling.
Okay.
Get a good vantage point. From there, I use my intimidate opponent ability, shouting, "I took down a cursed snorphanage in New Stork City, and I'll do worse to you." Ever faced a flamingo who set an entire tavern on fire and got away unscathed?
True.
That's me. Watch the chaos unfold as I watch their reactions from above. Vinny's gonna hear about this legendary bout.
All right, Shadow Clones. Fernando jumps onto the ceiling with a power that you don't seem to be aware of or understand. And he shouts out at you about burning down a tavern to the ground with no consequence. Each one of you needs to roll to see if you're intimidated by this. Unfortunately, Shadow Noodle, you see Fernando, this crazy flamingo bird, standing on the ceiling, screaming about burning people in a tavern, and you are terrified. You're unable to make a move your next turn, which means Shadow Creamy, you're up next. What do you choose to do?
Oh, nice try with the intimidation, Fernando, but it's not gonna work on me. Now, time to show you what a real firefighter can do. I'll use my water sphere ability to douse the torches around the room, plunging us into a sweet, sweet darkness. Sorry, Fernando, but I just can't resist the urge to extinguish these flames. Plus, it buys us some time for me to go get some more snow or ice. What? Hello, I'm DougDoug. It's me. Shadow Creamy, you need to roll an 8 or above to get rid of the torches because because you see here you roll a 10, so I have to, as the editor, I have to look and then make up a number that's probably lower than that. Well, ain't that just rude, Shadow Creamy? I'm trying to bring some light here, and you're extinguishing it all. No worries, my friend. We can still make this work in a civil and friendly manner. First, let's see if we can bring back some of that illumination. I'm going to pick up one of the torches that's still lit, was by accident, and politely walk up to light up one of the doused ones, making sure to keep an eye out for any potential sneak attacks. While I'm doing this, I'll start talking. I already am. Hey, remember that time back in New Stork City when I helped the elderly couple across the street? That was not worth. Even though it was pouring rain, they were so grateful, and I got free newspaper from their newsstand every day for a week. Helping folks is just in my nature, you know? By the way, not to push it. Okay, it's back.
Please,
it eliminates the darkness.
Torches. We're all trying to have a fair fight here. Let's play nice.
Alrighty, Shadow Fernando, you walk around and relighting the torches that Shadow Creamy just put out. Shadow Noodle, you are still terrified from Fernando on the ceiling, so you lose your turn. But Fernando, the original Fernando, you are walking on the ceiling right now.
Enough of this light and dark nonsense. Time to bring the heat. From my perch on the ceiling, I grab the nearest torch and hurl it at Shadow Creamy, aiming to set him ablaze and create some serious chaos.
Okay.
While the torch is midair, I
Walks
shout,
over.
"Hey, Shadow Creamy, you ever been roasted by a flamingo before? This is what we call a new stork-style BBQ. Let's see how they handled this flaming surprise. Vinny's gonna love hearing how I turned the tables and the torches."
All right. Fernando, you walk over on the ceiling. One of the torches is in fact high enough that you can grab it in your hands. You then walk a little closer to Shadow Creamy and hurl the torch at him. 13 or above and you'll hit. Unfortunately, the torch misses and clatters to the floor next to Shadow Creamy. Shadow Creamy, you're up. What do you want to do?
Whoa, that was a close one, Fernando. But instead of roasting me, you've just made me realize how wonderfully warm this place is. I rush over to the nearby lava pool, feeling giddy and jubilant at the thought of melting in its warmth. With a big smile, I leap into the air and go, "Wee, it's melting time." Let's see if this throws everyone for a loop.
Alrighty. Shadow Creamy runs forward to the lava, attracted by its warmth, and jumps
if Shadow
directly
Creamy
in.
wants to melt, let's give him a memorable send-off. I leap from the ceiling, aiming to knock him midair and push him into the lava pool.
Wait,
As
you
I
don't need to
fly
do that.
through the air, I yell, "Hope you enjoy your hot bath, Creamy." This is what happens when you mess with New Stork City's finest. Afterward, I prepare to deal with the remaining 2 Shadow clones. Let's ignite this battle to the next level and make Vinny proud.
Okay, I'll just give that to him. As Shadow Creamy walks forward towards the lava pool, Fernando leaps down from the ceiling and kicks him in the back right as he jumps into the air, sending Shadow Creamy directly into the lava, and watches as he slowly melts away. Shadow Creamy, before your head is fully engulfed by the lava, do you have any final words for your teammates?
The warmth. It's wonderful. Shadow Fernando, Shadow Noodle, stay frosty. And remember, warmth can be your friend or foe. Keep the fires burning in your hearts. And someone find some snow for me in the afterlife. Will ya? Adios.
He really thinks he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. With Shadow Creamy melted in the lava, Shadow Fernando, it is now your turn to act. What do you do?
Well, this has taken quite a turn, hasn't it? Poor Creamy, but let's not melt our spirits alongside him. First things first, I'll text Vinny. Time to give that rascal a piece of my mind and get some insights on our next move. Pulling out my shadowy phone, I type, "Vinny, it's Shadow Fernando. Creamy just took a dive in the lava and melted. How do you even put up with this crazy family of ours? Any tips for dealing with the originals who think they're so tough? Also, why's Noodle still dating you? I got some things to say about that later. Peace." While I wait for Vinny's input, I make sure to keep an eye on the remaining originals. Don't you worry, pals, we'll sort this out, preferably without any more molten casualties. Remember, it's a fine line we walk between civility and chaos, but my patience is wearing thin. And Noodle, I can't believe you're still with Vinny. We're going to chat about your standards once this is over.
All right, Shadow Fernando chooses to text Vinny and gets the following response. "You should go jump in the lava. It's helpful. Jump in the lava, please. Eat shit, Shadow Fernando. Also, my girlfriend is dead. Who gave you this number?"
Esteemed adversary Fernando, our intersection within this thaumaturgical arena intensifies the parameters of survival, does it not? Having observed your predilection for incendiary maneuvers, I must now implement a calculated and rational countermeasure. Utilizing my dexterous appendages, I shall initiate an aggressive hand-to-hand engagement. I opt to employ the maneuver, throw hands, and direct it towards the previously citational entity's extremities.
What?
Otherwise known as your hands. Truth be told, it is an incontrovertible delight to engage in such corporeal combat. And to quote a term of endearment from Vinny, prepare for a convergence of kinetic force.
Ooh. If you roll a 14 or above, Shadow Noodle, it will connect. But unfortunately, you only roll a 9.
All right, time to wrap this up in true New Stork City fashion. No more games. I leap towards Shadow Noodle and grab him by the scruff of his neck,
Oh, God.
aiming to hurl him straight into the lava pool.
Oh, my
You've
God.
had your fun, but it's about time for a hot bath.
Oh my God!
As I swing him towards the lava, I shout, "This one's for Vinny!" New Stork City sends its regards. With any luck, this maneuver will be a scorching success and send a clear message to any other shadows looming in my path. Let's end this showdown with a blaze of glory.
All right, because Shadow Noodle ran at you, Fernando. She is, in fact, right next to the lava pool. You attempt to grab her by the scruff of the neck and throw her into the pool. You need to roll a 14 or above to pull this off. And unfortunately, you miss the scruff of her neck. And she manages to step to the side and not be pushed into the pool. I'm worried about Shadow Fernando. He's way too nice because Fernando's such a dickhead.
Oh, things are heating up, and I don't mean just the lava. Time to use the big guns. Let's see if we can de-escalate this situation with a bit of nostalgia. I turn to Fernando and use my calm opponent ability.
Okay.
I start recounting a heartwarming tale. Hey, Fernando, remember that time we helped Mrs. Flapjacks cross the road during that
What?
crazy parade in New Stork City?
What?
Her gratitude was so immense that she made us those special blueberry pancakes every Sunday for months. You remember that, right? Let's tap into those good times, buddy. We don't have to do this. As I speak, I keep my stance ready for any trickery,
Okay.
but genuinely hoping to calm the situation and remind Fernando of the good times we've shared, even if they're just figments of our shadowy existence.
Okay.
Ah, Fernando, a valiant attempt at
Why?
serenity in
No!
the storm of...
If you roll a 14 or above, you successfully calm him down for a full turn. But unfortunately, you do not, which means the chaos continues. Shadow Noodle, your turn is next. As a reminder, you and Fernando stand on the edge of a pit of lava with Shadow Fernando nearby.
Oh, the disarray of our interactions is truly invigorating.
Uh-oh.
Yet let us return to a more scientific approach. Utilizing my superior intellectual faculties, I will attempt a high-risk, high-reward endeavor.
Okay.
Believing unequivocally in my inability to fly, I shall nonetheless leap directly at Fernando, seeking to collide with enough force to propel him into the adjacent lava.
Ooh.
During this maneuver, I exclaim, "Prepare for an empirical demonstration of inertia and centripetal force, Fernando. May our collision yield the anticipated outcome." And post-collision, let's hope I don't end up disproving my own flight hypothesis in a tragically fiery manner.
With a daring... Wait. There. With a daring leap of self-sacrifice, Shadow Noodle lunges at Fernando, attempting to grab him from behind and propel him into the lava. 14 or above will make it work. And with a push, Shadow Noodle misses. You push Fernando forward, but he catches his little flippers right at the edge of the pool of lava and stabilizes.
Let's go full New Stork City style.
What does that mean?
I grab one of the nearby torches and dash towards Shadow Noodle,
Okay.
aiming to use the fire to blind and disorient him.
Okay.
And send him stumbling into the lava pool.
Okay.
As I come close, I shout, "This is for all the Snorfins and for Vinny. Prepare to feel the heat like never before." With the torch held high,
Okay.
I swing it wildly, aiming to create chaos and confusion. Let's turn this final showdown into a fiery spectacle.
Fernando runs to the side and grabs a torch, then runs back towards Shadow Fernando and attempts to kind of throw the torch in his eyes a bunch. 14 or above, and you will hit and blind him. Fernando, you grab the torch, and as you run towards Shadow Fernando, you trip and fall onto the ground with a thud. The torch that you were holding flies up into the air and lands directly on your own face, blinding you. You sit there in agony, rolling on the floor, helpless and unable to see.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Fernando, you caught yourself on fire.
Is he gonna help him?
Absolute madness, and I will not stand for it any longer. With you temporarily immobilized, I'll use my squawking ability to gain everyone's attention and try to bring some sense back into this chaos.
Okay.
I show solidarity with Vinny, even if he's a prick. Here we go. I take a deep breath and unleash a squawk so loud it reverberates through the entire chamber.
Okay.
Hey, everyone, let's de-escalate here. We've got a bird rolling on fire, and trust me, this isn't how we solve things back in New
He's
Stork
throwing.
City.
He could win
Also,
right now.
Noodle, we need to have that serious talk
Okay,
about
he's still-
your taste in
he's
partners.
still worried about Noodle
Squawk
dating
and rant
Vinny.
away, hoping to draw focus and maybe, just maybe, calm Fernando down.
Okay. All right, Shadow Fernando, you start squawking extremely loud at Fernando laying on the ground. If you can squawk loud enough, Fernando might stop for just a moment and stop even trying to get the flame out of his eyes. 14 or above. And the squawking works. Unfortunately, it's an 11.
Well, this isn't going as smoothly as I'd hoped. Time for another approach, one that leans into what good old New Stork City has taught me. We need to stop this madness, but there's still hope for civility. I step closer to Fernando and say, all right, bucko, we've had our tussles, but it's time to put an end to this the right way. In one swift motion, I aim to extend a wing to offer a handshake, symbolizing a truce. As I do so, I prepare myself to use my wing to gently, but firmly, push him back into the lava pool if he tries anything sneaky. Vinny might be a bad egg, but we don't have to be. Let's settle this like gentle flamingos, I declare, hoping my demeanor deflects any suspicion. Be ready for anything, but keep it humble and kind. That's the Shadow Fernando way.
Shadow Fernando reaches out to Fernando, offering a hand in what appears to be a truce, while also being prepared to shove Fernando if he tries anything sneaky. Fernando, do you do anything in response to this? Let's see if Fernando goes for it. If he tries anything sneaky,
Truce, huh? Looks like Shadow Fernando's got a little heart in him after all. But I'm not fooled that easy. As he extends his wing, I pretend to accept the handshake. But at the last second, I yank him towards me and spin around, aiming to hurl him into the lava pool with all the strength of New Stork City's finest. Nice try, pal, but Vinny taught me better than to trust a shadow. Let's see if this deceptive move pays off, making Vinny proud with my street-smart cunning.
Fernando, as you reach out a wing towards Shadow Fernando, you realize that he was ready for this. He grabs your wing, expecting deception, and attempts to fling you into the lava pool. He's going to roll a die, and whoever rolls higher will be successful in flinging the other into the pool. Shadow Fernando goes first. Shadow Fernando slips and falls as he attempts to pull on Fernando, who grabs the wing of Shadow Fernando and hurls him into the lava pool. Shadow Fernando is thrown into the pool, his feathers and his talons touching the lava, and immediately starts to fade and melt away. And suddenly, only Shadow Noodle and Fernando are left.
Well, if Shadow Fernando's ready for the
Why
old
are you
flamingo
talking?
hand- Well played, Fernando. Looks like Vinny's lessons paid off after all. As I slowly sink into the lava, I muster my last bit of strength to shout, Noodle, don't ever trust Vinny, and remember that kindness always has a place, even in a world full of shadows. With my final squawk, a whisper filled with nostalgia. Fernando, you're a tough cookie, but never forget it's the kindness that counts. Do better than me. And with that, Shadow Fernando dissolves into the molten lava, his message lingering in the air.
And Shadow Fernando melts away. Only Shadow Noodle remains. Shadow Noodle, you've watched now as Fernando has knocked 2 of your compatriots into the lava pool. You and Fernando stand side by side at the lava pool. Only one of you may live on, either the originals or the shadow clones. What do you choose to do?
I will now leap into the air with the explicit ambition to ultimately kick Fernando into
Okay.
the lava. With profound verbosity, I shout, "Prepare to be enlightened by the aerodynamics of my unprecedented maneuver, Fernando. This empirical leap is dedicated to synthesizing our existence into a poignant culmination. Scientifically chaotic, let's see if this aerial endeavor illuminates our terminal duality."
If you roll a 6 or below, you're going to miss and jump into the lava yourself. If you roll a 7 to a 13, you will simply miss but catch yourself. And if you roll a 14 or above, you will successfully kick Fernando in. There's a 2/3 chance that one of you goes down. Good luck, Shadow Noodle. Good luck, Fernando. And the result is 17! Shadow Noodle jumps forward, kicks Fernando in the back, and knocks him violently into the lava pool. He crashes into the lava. Molten magma splashing around him, and screams his final words as he sinks into the lava.
No! As the scorching heat overwhelms me, I shout with my last breath. Remember the chaos, the flames, and the Snorfins. Vinny, make sure everyone knows I went out in a blaze of glory.
Vinny knows.
With my final squawk, I succumb to the molten embrace, leaving behind a legacy of fiery mayhem.
And with that, Fernando joins Shadow Fernando in the lava. And in this round of AI D&D roguelike, the Shadow Clones win in the end.
The denouement of this venerable confrontation has elucidated itself with resplendent clarity.
This is
The absolute cessation of Fernando's existence within the fulminating lava signifies a triumph for the empirically gifted. It is of paramount importance to commemorate this event with an analytical reflection.
Is it?
I ascend to gain a more comprehensive
So
vantage
true,
point
Queen.
and proclaim with intellectual fervor, our engagements have culminated in an intricate tapestry of chaotic brilliance and scholarly valiance. As the lone survivor of this epistemological escapade, I shall perpetuate the discourse of existence and empirical observations. Taking a final daring leap towards one of the remaining torches, I immerse myself
Wait, what?
ceremoniously into the comforting embrace of the fire,
What?
celebrating the intrinsic allure of combustion. It is undeniably a felicitous conclusion, befitting of an otter
Wait, she
whose
sets
brilliance
herself on
burns
fire?
ever so brightly.
Ah, the warmth. It's wonderful.
Why
Shadow
is
Creamy
Creamy
melted
back?
earlier.
Okay, and she ends by setting herself on fire. Great job, Shadow Noodle.
Oh, the warmth. It's wonderful.
Okay,
Oh,
why
wait,
is she...
I'd already melted into the
They're
molten
not
lava.
supposed to
Guess
activate
there's
each
no
other.
next
How is
move
this
for me.
happening?
Enjoy the remaining chaos, everyone. Make sure to keep things frosty, or should I say fiery.
The wizard's downfall is just the beginning.